Hello, welcome. I'm Alex, or RetroPup, and today I'm going to show you how you can stream your Steam games over the internet to your AYN Thor. So if you've tried GameHub or Game Native or WinLater, and you found that the games you want to play, they don't work natively, this is a good second option for some of those more graphically intense games that do have controller support, but they don't run too well on those apps. So I'm going to flip over to my desktop and let's get started. So here's my desktop. So what I've done, I've loaded up a couple of links already and I'll just tell you what they are. So first up we have Apollo. So Apollo is a newer fork of an app called Sunshine that used to be used for streaming Steam games to remote devices. That, I believe, is no longer in development, so they've forked it out into Apollo. The AYN Thor app is called Artemis, and they work hand in hand, so we'll cover the AYN Thor stuff shortly. You will also need this, which is the VGEM bus, VIGEM bus, don't know how to pronounce it. This is a controller driver, which allows the AYN Thor's controller inputs to register as a controller on your Windows PC. It is technically no longer in development, however, it is a requirement for Apollo, and if you don't have it installed, Apollo will shout at you. So you download these two apps in the normal way. You go to releases. So currently we have version 0.4.6. There is a pre-release version, however it's currently in alpha, so I'll just stick with this one for now, or whichever the latest official version is for you. So you scroll all the way down to your assets and grab the exe file. I've already done that, so I'm not going to do it again. And then you do the exact same for the VGEM bus. So it's just this version 1.22.0. So unless this repo gets unarchived, that will be the one. So you download both of them, and then if we head over to our downloads, as you can see, I've got them both there. So first up, make sure you install VGEM bus first. Because if you install Apollo first and it opens, it'll shout at you saying, where's VIGEM bus? Or your preferred pronunciation of whatever this app is. So we'll open up the setup wizard, agree to the terms because we don't care, and then we'll just click next a few times and then give it a moment. It doesn't take too long, so don't fret. Should nearly be done. There we go, that was nice and quick. So now that's installed, we're going to install Apollo. There we go. So I imagine most of you have installed something on a PC before. Just mash the next button until the green line stops. There we go, so that's completed as well. So I'll close the Firefox for now, I'll close the downloads. And then what we're going to do is in our start menu, we'll find Apollo. I'm just going to open it up here. There we go. So if you're using Firefox, or even if you're using Chrome or Safari, whichever your preferred browser is, you might get this warning. This is just because it's technically not a secure connection, even though it's running off my PC locally. So it's just been a bit overzealous. So we'll just click advanced, give it a moment, and then accept the risk and continue. So the first screen you're going to see is this. This will be your credential setup for the web UI. So I'm just going to make a very simple password. I'll keep Apollo as the username. I don't usually have Apollo as the username, but for demonstration purposes, I'll leave it as is. We're going to log in. Give it a second, then it'll refresh the page and ask you to log in again with that password you've just set. So Apollo, a password, and we're in. So if you didn't install VGEM bus at the start, then this is where you'll get this big ugly red banner that shouts at you. So as you can see here, this is the home page. So we've got the link there for Android Artemis. It's developed by the same guy, so you can trust it. Some resources there for things like the GitHub and the wiki. Not currently available for iOS or desktop, although I don't know why you'd stream desktop to desktop. I suppose if you had enough disposable income to have two PCs, then fair play to you. Or if you're skiving off at work, in which place, fair play to you. So there's some lines at the top. So first we have pin. So this will be for our pairing when we pair our device, which we'll do shortly. Then we have applications. So by default, it will already have desktop, so you can access the desktop and control it remotely as you would, say, TeamViewer or AnyDesk, something like that. And then we have Steam Big Picture modes. This is all by default, so you don't really need to touch anything. If you have non-Steam games that you might have found on certain parts of the internet, naughty naughty, you can add them as applications. So to do that, you create the app, and then you can find the cover online. I don't think... Oh, there's some games called Test. And then Test Drive Accolade, whatever that is. And then all you need to do is this command line here. If you go to the exe file of wherever that game's installed, right-click, copy it as path, and paste it in there. That's all you need to do. So when you launch it on your AYN Thor, it'll look just like a normal game on a library. That's all you need to do for that. But I'm just going to stick with Steam for now. In configuration, this is where if you want to really dive into the nitty-gritty of your graphics card configuration or your network latency, things like that, this is where you do that. For me, the defaults work fine. I will say, if you are planning on using this to stream wirelessly, make sure, best you can, that your PC runs off Ethernet to your router, because you can do it over Wi-Fi. However, there may be some significant latency. So unless you plan on playing games like chess or a turn-based RPG, you're not going to have a great time. So that's it for the configuration. You can change the password. We've just set one, I don't need to. There's a troubleshooting guide here, which allows you to force the app to close or restart it if you have any issues. You can also completely quit it from here to make sure that the service runs, because just closing the browser, it's still running in the background. You can also set a theme. You can have a light or a dark theme. That light is incredibly bright, and I think it may be overpowering the ring light. So I'm just going to stick with the dark theme. So that's it for first part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my display over so you can see the Thor as well. So I'm capturing the Thor, and I'm going to go to our good old buddy Obtainium, and then in the streaming section you will see Artemis. So I'm going to install Artemis. This is part of the RJNY pack, so if you've got that installed, you'll see this as normal. So once that's installed, it should pop up on our... There we go. I'm going to open it on here. So by default, you can see it's detected my PC running on the local network. So I'm going to load it up. So when I load it up, it's going to give me a PIN, and then Windows will give me a notification that says you need to enter a PIN. So I'll do that now. There we go, there's the pairing request. You can click the notification, it will take you straight to this pairing screen. If you miss the notification, if you go to PIN and then PIN pairing, it's the same screen. I'm going to enter the PIN 5071. The device name, I'm going to put AYN Thor. There we go, so it's successfully pinned. So now, if you look at the AYN Thor, you can see I've got desktop, I've got Steam, and I've got virtual desktop. I don't need to use the virtual desktop. If I hit desktop, you should see my desktop. So there we go. And you'll see me scribbling all over the place, and I can interact if I need to. To exit a stream, if you swipe in from the left, you can disconnect or quit session. If you disconnect, the session is still technically active. However, if you quit, it will close the app. So next, we're going to open up Steam. So if you've used a Steam Deck or you've used Steam Big Picture Mode before, this will be very familiar to you. So there we are. So I've got Doom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the device, and then sometimes I have found that you have to press the buttons on the AYN Thor a couple of times to get it to register that there's a controller connected. I think this is just Steam expecting keyboard input before controller input. So as you can see here, I'm playing some Doom, so I'm just going to select Doom. Don't know why I'm looking at it on the desktop. I should be looking at it on the Thor, shouldn't I? So I'm really pushing the power of the graphics card and the streaming with playing the powerhouse that is the original Doom. So we'll boot into a game. So as you can see, this game has native controller support. Some games you might have to download a profile like if you were using a Steam Deck, but you can see that between both screens, the latency. So this is a live feed from my AYN Thor and the desktop simultaneously. You can see that there is such a small amount of latency, you wouldn't notice it. So 17 seconds on E1M1, so speedrunners eat your heart out. Don't know what the actual speedrun record is for E1M1, probably like 0.2 of a second. So that was a very simple overview. I'm going to mute that now. So that was a very simple overview of the AYN Thor's remote streaming. So if you enjoyed this video, then leave a like, leave a comment. As always, I'd appreciate a subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll see you in the next one.